What's going on, guys? My name is Rubber Dorky. Thank you for joining me. We're watching a special little video today. Trump's tax returns just came out. There's a leak, exclusive new leak from MSNBC. They're the only ones to get this tax return. They broke the story. They're doing it live, and little do they know, well, Trump paid his taxes. And not to mention that the tax return was illegally obtained. But we're going to get into that. Now, we're doing a little bit of a different type of video today because I am going to edit in a little thing right here so that we can watch together. I thought I wasn't going to do that. I was just going to play the video so you could hear it. But that is not fair to you guys. Now, I'm not going to do this every day. This is Rubber Unwrapped, after all. So I don't do much editing for this series, but I thought I would treat you guys to this.
What I have here is a copy of Donald Trump's tax returns. We have his federal tax return for 1 year, for 2005. I believe this is the only set of the president's federal taxes that reporters have ever gotten a hold of. What we have are these 2 pages, front and back, from the same 1040 form that you might have filled out when you file your taxes. And in terms of what's on here, let me give you the basics. Aside from the numbers being large, these pages are straightforward. He paid $38 million, looks like $38 million in taxes.
Aww. Well, how much did he make?
He took a big write-down of $103 million. More on that.
I think he made more than $103 million in 2005. But still, if it is right, he paid way more taxes than he was supposed to. That's 38%. Or, well, it's like 36%.
That later. If you add up the lines for income, he made more than $150 million in that year. Mazel tov. We got these pages. We got this document today from a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative journalist who's better on financial matters than almost anybody else in the business. His name is David K. Johnston. These pages turned up the other day in his mailbox. David will join us live here in just a moment. But because nobody has had the president's taxes before, we didn't know what to expect. When we showed this 2005 return to the White House to ask...
Well, didn't you know what to expect because you were saying that Donald Trump doesn't pay his taxes? It seemed like you knew what was going on. And MSNBC is worse than CNN, but both of them tend to be really arrogant. They just don't care about facts. They say, we know this thing, we know that. Trust us, and sit down on your couch. Like, that's what they want from you. So you did know what to expect. You did.
David will join us live here in just a moment. But because nobody has had the president's taxes before, we didn't know what to expect. When we showed this 2005 return to the White House to ask them if it's real, we sent this over to the White House tonight, and the White House responded basically with... Yep. I'm going to read you the White House statement on this tonight. Quote, before being elected president, Mr. Trump was one of the most successful businessmen in the world, with a responsibility to his company, his family, and his employees to pay no more tax than legally required. That being said, Mr. Trump paid $38 million, even after taking into account large-scale depreciation for construction on an income of more than $150 million, as well as paying tens of millions of dollars in other taxes, such as sales and excise taxes and employment taxes. And this illegally published return proves just that. Despite this substantial income figure and tax paid, it is totally illegal to steal and publish tax returns. The dishonest media can continue to make this part of their agenda, while the president will focus on his, which includes tax reform that will benefit all Americans. White House statement for tonight. For the record, the First Amendment gives us the right to publish this return.
I don't think it does. I don't think it does.
It is not illegally published. Nor are we fake. Pinch me, I'm real.
What the fuck was that? Was that a serious joke? Why is it that the media is so offended by a term that they made up themselves? They made up fake news to refer to all of the media sources that aren't, like, mainstream. Basically, the big corporation. They made that up for small little guys. And now, when people are flipping it around on them because the big guys are making up shit too, a lot of the times more often, yeah, they're getting offended. They're taking it really personally. And this is going to take some understanding on your part, so bear with me here. She thinks you're an idiot, and I have to explain why. People like her, the why I say that she thinks you're an idiot is because she is saying, like, if she's making this joke, like, oh, I'm not fake news, I'm right here, pinch, pinch, I'm here. So what she expects you to do is to be like, oh, yeah, okay. Not pay too much attention to what you're watching, because context never fucking matters. She wants you to just be like, you know, on your chair or your couch, just be like, yeah, okay. She's there. Who calls her fake news? That's silly. Look at us laughing together on TV and on my shitty couch. Yeah, I agree with her. She's funny.
But good on the White House for acknowledging the return as proof of what the president made and paid that year. Here's the thing, though. A full tax return for someone like Donald Trump would be a lot longer than the 2 pages that we have here.
What? She's like flipping it over and she's like looking for more. Because nothing's wrong. She couldn't find anything wrong and she's just not going to be able to handle that. It doesn't matter if Trump did everything right. This lady would be so pissed about it. Which is really sad because you want the President of the United States, regardless of who he is, if he's going to be the president for the 4 or 8 years it looks like, you want him not only to succeed, but you want him to be a decent, half-decent person. Maybe at least half, right? You may not expect it, but you want it. So when the tax returns come out to be just all fine and dandy, what you should be reacting is like, okay, this is really good, guys. Maybe there's some other stuff that will come out, but this is a step in the right direction. That's not what she's saying. She's like, well, these are his tax returns. This is the main 2 pages that we all fill out. But don't worry about these. There's other shit to worry about. What's gonna happen now that we have these tax returns? What just came out of her mouth was utter bullshit. What really is gonna happen is that the media is going to harp on the Russian thing. They're gonna be like, oh well, let's see what kind of Russian shit we can find out. That's not gonna happen either. I really don't think that's gonna happen because there is such a motive. And this whole Russian thing, there's still rarely any proof at all other than the fact that, yes, Trump met some Russian people, met Russian high officials. So did other businessmen. And so did other government officials. They meet I don't want to say our enemies, but they do meet our enemies. They meet with them. So, other than that, this whole scandal with the Russian thing, it's not based on any fact. So that's where I think, well, if they're pushing it so hard, and there's not a lot of evidence, I'm erring on the side of not believing it. I'm open to the idea. And if it turns out that there were some conflicts of interest, I will totally call out Trump. I can't wait to do a video where I'm not fucking defending that asshole. But with MSNBC and CNN being the fucking worst media sources, before going after Trump for shit that may or may not have been said, I'm going to go after journalists that are not doing their duty to the American public. I've said it before. I wanted to be a journalist. I think I said it in the first Rubber Unwrapped. I wanted to be a journalist really badly. I either wanted to be working in, I wanted to do, National Geographic, but I also wanted to work in political news. But, neither worked out. Anyways, I tell you that because I feel like any YouTuber that brings this shit up and starts talking about bad journalism when it's on the left, they get attacked. They get attacked really hard. And I gotta tell you, I'm a Californian, I'm a college student. I have really mixed views. I'm very moderate. But Jesus. What's going on right now, if you're paying attention, for anybody that's paying attention, I've noticed that they feel an obligation to defend people being attacked by bad media. So let's get back into this. We got a bit more to watch.
There are all kinds of schedules and notes and attachments that could be involved, all containing information about the president and his money. Why will he not release his taxes, his full taxes?
Why won't he release? You have his taxes. You have the majority of his taxes right there. And actually, if that's consistent with all the taxes that he's paid, he pays like 25% in taxes. MSNBC, I just saw on the Drudge Report, they pay 24% in taxes. And as soon as this gets dropped, they aren't gonna say anything else about it. They're not gonna say Trump paid his taxes. You're just not gonna hear anything else. You're gonna be left wondering what happened if you're an MSNBC viewer. And that's why a lot of people just stop watching these channels. That's why a lot of people are going to alternative media, because they're not getting the news that they want. They want to know things. Why aren't you telling them? Because you think they're stupid. And you think that they'll just roll over and just be content and be like, huh? Oh, pinch me, that's a funny joke. Oh, she's not fake. She's not fake news because she's right there. She's a real person.
The way other presidents have done. Why not let the public see the information for themselves? We have obtained this, but this is all we've got. This tells us...
She was going to say, we have obtained this, but this is not enough. There has to be something worse.
Something. But he still has disclosed, firmly, willingly disclosed, nothing compared to all other modern presidents. Joining us now is David K. Johnston. He's editor and founder of DCReport.org, which has posted this document as of a few minutes ago. He's also the author of The Making of Donald Trump and the Pulitzer Prize-winning financial reporter who found the president's 2005 tax returns in his mailbox.
Okay, Pulitzer Prize winner. He's got a lot of ethos. And for those of you that don't know, ethos is referring to somebody's reputation. They've really built up his reputation a lot. Even though he's a squirrely-looking mouse fucker, fat ass, I'm sure he has a lot to say, and I'm sure it's all credible because he's a Pulitzer Prize-winning author. And I'm sure there were no bias with him being invited to talk on MSNBC. I'm going to skip ahead because he is a fat mouse-looking fucker. I will link this video in the description down below. I just want to give you my thoughts because I think it's entertaining to watch me get pissed off.
That's what Donald Trump got here.
So the...
Wait, what did he get?
But if you're in the alternative minimum tax, you only pay 28%.
Okay.
That's a 20% discount on your taxes. Would you like to get a 20% discount on your taxes? That's what Donald Trump got here.
So the issue...
Okay. He said only 28% on his taxes. And that's after a 20% decrease. Do you want to pay 48% in your taxes? I'm all for the progressive tax system, and I do think that the very wealthy should be paying way more. Like, don't tax them into the ground. Don't tax them out of their nice homes, their multiple nice homes. I'm not saying that. Tax them to the point where they maybe buy 6 homes instead of 8. Tax them to the point where they aren't, hoarding hundreds of millions of dollars in Swiss bank accounts. Because that cash is not doing shit. It's not doing anything for anybody. These rich people do say, like, oh, we're going to make jobs, but they hoard a lot of wealth. So I am with this guy a little bit. But when he says, oh, yeah, these people are only paying 20%, 28% in taxes, that's a lot. And I don't know what the 20% discount comes from. I don't know why he got that. But if there's people that are paying 48% in taxes, I'm pretty satisfied with that. When will these people not be satisfied? And why do they argue with people when they call, like MSNBC is like, no, we're not the radical left, we're not that far left, like we're moderate. Yeah, you're fucking nuts.
Do that. I mean, I tried to lay out at the top of the show reasons why people are so interested in his tax returns. The White House has made this issue and saying it's only reporters who care. People don't care. This was litigated in the election when he didn't release his tax returns and people voted for him anyway. There are a number of reasons to be interested in his tax returns, and I think a number of reasons why people continue to be.
And most importantly, what we don't have here, which is this describes the types of income, but not the sources.
Okay, so
that's what we need to know.
We need
Who is the president getting money from?
Well, we need to know.
Probably the Russians. You see how we're going to go start talking about that now?
Sources of his income, whether or not he's beholden to somebody. We also need to know whether all the things he said about himself and his wealth and his charitableness and all those things are true. But we also need to know if he is going to take actions as president in terms of tax policy that are going to benefit him. And you're
Or
saying,
benefit his benefactors.
yes.
Yes, and it's a very complicated, tangled issue. I mean, here's a simple question to ask. Every other president's released their returns. We have Hillary Clinton's and Bill Clinton's returns back to the 1970s. Why is it that Donald Trump is so insistent that we're not to see his tax returns?
It's actually really nice because we also have Hillary Clinton's emails. We have a shit ton of emails. And, you know, what's funny is we're talking about how Donald Trump is just like not transparent and he doesn't want people to see his tax returns. He doesn't want people to see his private stuff. Hillary kept, I think, over 90% of her emails dealing with business and government stuff on personal servers. When being questioned on the emails by officials, she was saying like, oh, 95% of my emails are all on government servers, public servers. Well, okay, you say that, but actually less than 5%, it was actually more like 2% of your emails were on government servers. So one person is telling us one thing, another is telling us a completely different number. You're saying 95, this other guy's saying less than 5. So where can you explain why he's saying less than 5? If you can't, there's a problem, because you have quite a motive, you have quite a bias, for wanting to say that you had 95% of your emails on public government servers. Either way, my point is that she didn't want people to see her private emails. She didn't want people to see her private stuff and for people to know what she thinks about refugees, immigrants, government officials. It's a tough thing because they're obligated to be as transparent as possible, but they're also out of touch. And they might have some shady things that they want to keep private. So there's tough stuff going on for them. It's a really tough life for public officials.
There must be something hiding in his returns. I've been at this for 50 years. I started as a teenager doing investigative reporting. And every time some high-level politician wants to hide something, it always turns out there's a reason. They've got something to hide. Lots of things we can think of that Donald Trump has to hide, including sources of income.
Let's just speculate. There's lots of things we can think of that Donald Trump would want to hide. They're going to just speculate, and I can't wait until more stuff comes out, not just for the sake of journalism and for people knowing. I just want these people to shut the fuck up. They just so badly want certain things. They want news to be a certain way. People with big money on their side might try to make those certain things happen, but as far as these tax returns go, you can't make Trump pay incorrect taxes or not pay any taxes back in 2005. Sorry. I bet a bunch of liberals wish they had time machines and wish they could trick Trump into not paying taxes of that year, which is quite telling on where this country might go if they have their way. And that is because they identify with their beliefs. They think that their beliefs are who they are, rather than their beliefs being apart from them. So that's why when you try to debate with somebody like that, they feel personally offended. They feel like you're offending their intellect, their personality, their soul. It's just ridiculous. I don't know how many times I used that word. I'm sorry. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. This has been Rubber Unwrapped. I'm Rubber Dorky. I'll see you in that next video. Have a great night, and as always, dork it up.